Greetings, space explorers. Captain Sky here, and today I'm going to tell you about someone who reached the moon without ever leaving Earth. Her name was Katherine Johnson, and this is the story of how a young girl who loved to count became the woman who calculated the path to the stars. But first, let me take you back to a time when computers weren't machines, they were people. Our story begins in 1918 in White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia. Little Katherine loved numbers more than toys. She counted steps to church. 273 steps. She counted dishes. 24 plates. She counted stars through her bedroom window until she fell asleep. But here's where it gets amazing. When Katherine was just in first grade, that is, when she was just 6 years old, she was already solving math problems that were meant for older kids. Her teacher would write problems on the board, then turn around and Katherine's hand would shoot up.
I know the answer! I know the answer!
The teacher would shake her head in disbelief.
Katherine, I just wrote it. How did you solve it so fast?
And little Katherine would smile and say,
Well, I just counted in my head.
By age 10, Katherine was in high school. Can you imagine being in a class with teenagers when you're only 10? But Katherine wasn't intimidated. In fact, she later said something that I want you to remember.
I counted everything. I counted the steps to the road, the steps up to church, the number of dishes and silverware I washed. Anything that could be counted, I did.
Now here's where our story faces a challenge. In the 1920s and 30s, America was divided by something called segregation. Now let me explain that word segregation. Segregation means separating people based on the color of their skin. It was unfair, wrong, and cruel. Black children and white children went to different schools. Black families couldn't eat at the same restaurants or use the same bathrooms as white families. It was a very dark time in American history. Because Katherine was African American, many doors were closed to her. Schools for black children in her town ended at 8th grade. There was no high school she could attend. But Katherine's father, a farmer and handyman named Joshua Coleman, refused to let his daughter's brilliant mind go to waste. And every year, he moved his entire family 120 miles away to Institute, West Virginia, just so Katherine could attend high school. Can you imagine? 120 miles! No computers, no highways like today, just so that their daughter could learn. Years later, Katherine said,
My dad taught us that you are as good as anybody in this town, but you're no better. I don't have a feeling of inferiority. Never had. I'm as good as anybody, but no better.
That confidence would carry her to the stars. At age 15, Katherine enrolled in West Virginia State College. Now, there was a mathematics professor there named William Shiflin Claytor. He was only the third African American to earn a PhD in mathematics in the entire United States. When Professor Claytor saw Katherine's genius, he did something extraordinary. He created math classes just for her. Classes that didn't even exist at the college before. Advanced geometry, analytic geometry, complex calculations that most adults couldn't even understand. Katherine soaked it all up like a sponge. Professor Claytor told her,
"You'd make a good research mathematician. I'm going to see to it that you are prepared."
He saw her potential. He created a path where none existed. And by the age of 18, Katherine graduated summa cum laude. That's Latin for with highest honor. It means she was the best of the best. She graduated with degrees in both mathematics and French. Katherine became a teacher, inspiring young minds. But in 1952, at a family gathering, her sister-in-law whispered exciting news.
They're hiring mathematicians at Langley Laboratory. And by the way, they're hiring women.
That was NACA, the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics. Aeronautics means the science of flight. Airplanes, rockets, anything that flies. Katherine applied immediately, and in June of 1953, she walked through the doors of Langley Research Center in Virginia. But here's what Katherine did that was thrilling. She simply ignored the rules that didn't make sense. There was one time when Katherine needed to attend an editorial meeting where flight missions were discussed. Only men attended these meetings, no women. Definitely no black women. Katherine asked her boss.
Is there a law against it?
He stammered.
Well, no.
If no, then I'm going.
Katherine declared. And she did. She became the first woman ever to attend those meetings. She later said,
We needed to be assertive as women in those days. Assertive and aggressive. And the degree to which we had to be that way depended on where you were. I had to be.
Katherine's calculations were so precise, so perfect, so brilliant that engineers started requesting her specifically. Get the girl to check the numbers, they'd say. Now, what kind of math was Katherine doing? She was calculating something called trajectories. A trajectory is the path an object takes through space. Imagine throwing a ball. The curved path it makes. That's a trajectory. But Katherine was calculating trajectories for rockets going thousands of miles per hour, leaving Earth's gravity, spinning through space. She used incredibly complex math called analytic geometry, using equations to describe curves and paths through three-dimensional space. One tiny mistake, one wrong decimal point, and astronauts could die. Then came 1961. The Soviet Union, now called Russia, had already sent a man to space, Yuri Gagarin. America was behind in the space race. The space race was like a competition between America and the Soviet Union to see who could achieve the greatest things in space exploration. It was about science, but also about showing which country was more advanced. President Kennedy declared America would catch up. They chose astronaut Alan Shepard for America's first manned space flight. But there was a huge problem. No American had ever calculated the exact mathematics to bring a spacecraft back from space safely. The engineers had equations. They had new calculating machines. But they needed someone brilliant to verify everything. They needed Katherine Johnson. Katherine worked day and night. She calculated the trajectory, the path up and the path down. She factored in Earth's rotation, the rocket's speed, gravitational pull. Gravitational pull is the force that pulls objects toward Earth. wind resistance, the exact angle for re-entry when a spacecraft comes back into Earth's atmosphere. If the angle was too steep, Shepard would burn up like a meteor. Too shallow, and he'd bounce off the atmosphere into space forever. Catherine's pencil flew across page after page, numbers, equations, checking, double-checking. And on May 5th, 1961, Alan Shepard climbed into Freedom 7. Countdown: 10, 9, 8, 7. The rocket exploded to life with 78,000 pounds of thrust. Up, up, up he went, reaching 116 miles above Earth, 15 minutes and 22 seconds of flight.